Hello and welcome to another Bio-181 Tutoring Center video. Today we're talking about how energy and nutrients flow within an ecosystem. Something to know is the energy that goes into an ecosystem comes from the sun and cycles in and out. Energy can come into an ecosystem and come out of it. Nutrients, however, stay within the ecosystem. And to understand this, we just have a simple diagram that the students are expected to understand and be able to draw. Obviously, it's an oversimplification, but an overgeneralization, but it serves a purpose in explaining and showing diagrammatically what's happening inside an ecosystem. So we start with a boundary. Every ecosystem has a boundary, or the ecosystem that you're studying. There's going to be a defined boundary, rainforests or a tundra region, some portion of a grassland. It doesn't go on infinitely, there is an end. So this outer blue line is ecosystem boundary. Use red for we've got heat coming from the sun, energy coming into the ecosystem from the sun. I'll use solid line to show energy, and I'll use a dotted red line to show nutrient flow. And we'll study and look at the energy flow first, and then the nutrient flow. What is within an ecosystem? That's what these little squares represent. Right here, and then there are four major things. For a lack of a better scientific word, we've got producers, consumers, bacteria, and I wouldn't necessarily, if you were doing this on the test, I wouldn't write bacteria. I would say detrivores or decomposers. Detrivores or decomposers. They're bacteria, they're breaking down all of the organic material. And then here we have the nutrients. Otherwise known as detritus, you might see that as well. Now you've got energy coming in from the sun into the plants, and the plants photosynthesize and they produce energy, they grow, and then they're eaten by consumers. And there are different levels. You've got primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer. They eat each other. The food chain, you know how it works. It goes up, and then eventually all the organisms die. So energy is going to be transferred to the bacteria. And then there's waste energy. The producers, they respire. Consumers, they respire. Bacteria also respire. And we get waste energy from respiration, usually in the form of heat. Now we followed how energy is transferred, and I guess energy can be returned from bacteria as well, because if you eat some bread or any food you eat has probably got bacteria on it, and that can give you energy. If you eat yogurt, there's tons of bacteria that you are consuming, and they're going to give you energy. So consumers can definitely take in energy from bacteria. I'm not too certain if producers can take in energy from bacteria. I'm not sure how a plant would take bacteria up through the roots. Usually it's just water and basic minerals and ions, molecules, not entire organisms being brought in through the roots of the plants. And so that leads us on. We've got, of course, nutrients coming in from the producers. As the consumers eat the producers, there's going to be a nutrient flow in this direction. Likewise, when the consumer dies and gets broken down, when the producer dies and gets broken down, they will give nutrients to the bacteria. And the bacteria will break down the organisms and give nutrients to the ground, to the soil. Likewise, bacteria can also take up nutrients from around them. Simple, Bio-180 endocytosis, that can happen with all types of bacteria. And the producers, they can die, and they can, when they're broken down, fall apart. Even if they're not decomposed by bacteria, they can return nutrients to the ground. And of course, plants definitely take up nutrients, as I mentioned, through the roots. And that should be everything. Let me just double check. Oh yeah, the last thing. Some would argue that energy and nutrients can be returned to the detritus of the ecosystem from the consumers. So just to clarify and run over it one more time, it's just, I'll make the red a little thicker for the energy, but the energy is coming from the sun and is transferred to the consumers. There's an exchange of energy from consumers and the bacteria, the decomposers of the ecosystem. There's also an exchange of energy between the consumers and the nutrients, or from the simply from the consumers to the detritus, or the available nutrients of the ecosystem. And energy can go to the bacteria when the plants die and need to be broken down. And then all the dotted lines represent nutrient cycling. I would advise being able to draw this picture would be very helpful, but understand that there is nutrients and energy cycling throughout the ecosystem. There is lots of waste energy because of respiration, and the nutrients stay within the ecosystem. The energy comes in and can come out as well. So I hope that helps, and thanks for watching.